Welcome to the Diabetes Nerds podcast. I am your host, Ginger Vieira. I have lived with type 1 diabetes for a whole bunch of years, and with me is someone else who has lived with type 1 diabetes for a whole bunch of years, Miss BJ Garceau. How you doing there?
Oh my gosh, Ginger. First of all, I just love talking with you. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And congratulations on living with diabetes for so many years. From knowing you, it sounds like we've had diabetes for so long we could actually probably retire. If diabetes was a career,
Diabetes could retire for
I,
sure.
yeah, we're 25 years plus, right?
Mine's 25, isn't yours like 30 something?
Mine's 30. Yeah. So
So,
mine would have a nice pension.
yeah, we're approaching retirement. I don't think you can really retire these days at 55. Maybe partially retire, then you have to get a side job at Lowe's on the weekend.
No problems. Great discounts.
Yeah. Answer questions like, where? I'm the kind of person that has questions. I'm like, I can't find your friggin', I don't know, doormats and mailbox keys. Anyway, yes. How's diabetes treating you lately?
Well, diabetes is it's actually been well. I saw your post. Well, we all know diabetes is never 100% great. Like, I can't say anybody that's been like, hey, how's diabetes treating you? Amazing. The best ever. It's warm, welcoming, but things have been very well. And of course, it's one of those things where I saw you made a post, I made a post, and realized after my post on Instagram that we were talking about the same thing, which was time and range. So my diabetes on paper looks great, which is great. You you made a post about 80% in range.
Yeah, I
You
mean that's the like medical goal for most people, and everybody's different. Is 70%,
mm-hmm.
and then when I'm on top of my game, I'm in that like 80 something range, right?
Yep. And it's one of those things when I think about it, and I think about academics in school. An 80% would be what? A B average? A 70% would be, and I'm just saying this because I did not do
True,
well
when you
in
put it
school.
in that context,
And a lot of us don't think of it
because
this
100
way.
isn't a thing. So like 80 should actually be an A, because
Right.
like Dr. Mark Heyman will even say he's a CDE psychologist and he has type 1. And yes, I know the acronym is CDCES. I refuse to put that many letters. So silly that they had to make it 5 letters instead of 3. All right, so he said that it is actually not healthy to aim for the 90s because it requires a degree of obsession. Unless you're pregnant. The pregnancy, you get a pass.
Yeah.
Because you need to be obsessed. It's like a part-time job.
Yeah.
But it's temporary. and
Correct.
But so I think now that you're talking about comparing this to grades, that in
Mm-hmm.
the 80s should be an A. In the 70s should be a B.
Okay.
And in the 60s should be a C.
And I'm really glad that you broke that down because I know different things whether T1Ds I've spoken to and things like that, is that for a lot of us, some feel that we can actually get obsessive and that we'll be better off, but we don't think about them, like you said, the mental health toll of it.
Quality of life, yes. I mean, I might have mentioned this weeks ago, but I had a parent reach out to me whose child was newly diagnosed. And they were so afraid of high blood sugars, they were trying to keep their child between 70 and 130 all the time. And the kid was having tons of lows. And of course, they're going to drive themselves nuts. And they don't, they're only a few months into this. They haven't realized what a long game this is, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like, whoa, you got to take a deep breath. And I get it. It's all driven by fear, right? But then I was interviewing a doctor the other day for a different podcast. And we were talking about fear of hypoglycemia, and he was talking about a patient who is so afraid of going low that he won't let his blood sugar go below like 150, 140. And he's probably there. I know people who've experienced, I would guess that this patient has experienced, I say patient because it's in the frame of reference of this doctor.
Yeah.
This person with T1D has probably had a severe low, maybe lost consciousness, had a seizure. Like the people I know who are terrified of going below 150, 180 have had a really traumatic hypoglycemic event. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel great.
Yeah, I mean, it can be really scary.
Yeah.
I've lost consciousness a little bit, but it wasn't traumatizing for me. It just
Yeah.
taught me. But it wasn't severe.
Seizure survivor myself.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, my wife found me in bed.
Oh,
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. So to go back to that though, with time,
Yeah, hold on to that, because I want to ask about that. My brain was just like, wait, I want to ask more about that.
I never told you the seizure story.
Wait, let me just finish this guy. He was
Okay.
keeping his blood sugar flat, nearly flat, at 180. So,
Okay.
because he didn't want it to be lower, but he didn't want it to be higher. That's where he felt safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like obsessively flat at 180. So he was obsessive, but at 180 obsessive, which
Yeah.
you know, well then you'd think, well, why can't he be obsessive at 120? And so the doctor is working with him to like lower his safety comfort zone. But we all have that, our comfort zone. Like, I'm comfortable going for a dog walk with a blood sugar of 90 because I understand my insulin on board and I know I'm not going to plummet,
Right.
pass out on the sidewalk.
And it's 25 years into your diabetes career.
Right.
That, you know, you've had to find the tools and resources to help you by doing it. It's not something that, because diabetes is never the same every day. So what was your feedback to this individual who loved to flatline at 180?
Oh no, this is I didn't talk to that. This is a doctor telling me.
Oh, I got you. Did he?
Tell me about your terrible seizures in bed.
Which is, and I actually am someone who also runs low. But I'm working on that. I have more time in range, huh?
Okay, because you don't want to be high.
No, I hate highs. I hate them. I hate them so much. I just don't like the way I feel.
I hate highs more than lows, for sure.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that where I typically run in averagely, I don't know. My goal is I like to be between 70 and like 150, these normal diabetes numbers, blah, blah, blah. But I just dislike highs so much. I don't like who I am. I don't like how I feel. I don't like my attitude, and I don't want to be that person. So anywho, the seizure story. So, and like, you know, you've been in romantic relationships where you have partners sleeping beside you. And if there are any other T1Ds out there who can relate to this story, please let me know. It's one of those things where my wife actually, I was beeping. I was on an old school Medtronic pump, probably, and the sensor was reading wrong. The sensor was reading higher than I actually was. So it kept continuously trying to correct this high. So it was one of those things where I was beeping, my wife was beside me, and she actually has trauma from this experience. And I kept telling her, no, I'm fine. And she said, you do this all the time. I've been married to you. You often just like will get up, take care of it. So she rolled back over. And she feels guilty for this, which again, it wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. And then she said a few minutes went by and she went to wake me up again and I wasn't responding. And she said, I kept shaking you. I didn't know what to do. And then you just started to seize. And I don't remember any of it. No, I don't remember any of it. I started to seize. The next thing I know, and of course it was one of those nights I decided to sleep naked. I don't know if like, because I was sweating in my sleep or whatever.
You probably stripped down because you were sweating so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So my wife said she turned on the light, tried to give me some glucose, and then I started to seize right in front of her. Yeah. And then next thing I know, of course, it was that night I decided to sleep naked. I wake up to two grown men, paramedics, with glucagon put in me. I can't remember if it was my hand or not. And I just remember waking up like, what's going on? And they asked me like the date, the president, and stuff like that. And I think it might have been during a political career that I wasn't fond of. So I think I was like, I hope it's Obama.
Said Abraham Lincoln.
They're like, more glucagon. She's out of it. But yeah, no, it was one of those things that it was a insulin pump concern because I wasn't dosing myself. And I actually, and I got so scared and traumatized by it, I went off an insulin pump until I could get on a tandem. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I have a friend who has a similar brand of what happened to you, similar brand pump, maybe the same, and
Yeah.
it dumped 50 units of insulin into her one day, and she seized for hours on the kitchen floor while her diabetes alert dog just panicked and scratched her so much because he was trying to wake her up.
Yeah.
He felt like he needed actually to be retrained and go to therapy after this because he was so traumatized from not being able to do his job.
Yep.
And she woke up, but she
Did her pump just stop? Like, how did she come to?
dumped all the insulin into her because when she did eventually come to and she could function again, she looked at her pump and it was empty, and she knew she's a diabetes educator. This is a very responsible and intelligent person. And so when she came to, though, her mouth wasn't working yet, and she was trying to tell Siri to call 911, but Siri couldn't understand her. And eventually, so her dog was able to bring her juice boxes, and eventually, because it's a trained diabetes alert dog,
Yeah.
and eventually she could talk and call 911. And then, but she had been seizing for so long that she needed, I forget what it's called, but it's something where your body is like so still for so long that you start developing this like toxic muscle breakdown thing. And she had to go spend some time in the hospital to like flush it out or something. Don't quote me on the science here, but
No.
Anyway, okay, time and range.
Time and range. Well, and that was one of those things that sometimes going with time and range, it's things that are out of our control, such as like mechanical errors. Like I did kickboxing this morning, great numbers, awesome numbers, but it's so hot and humid in Maine right now that I have my insulin pump hooked up here. I went to take my boxing gloves off. I turned around and this just fell off. Like my insulin pump, like, I don't know. But then now, guess what? Guess who went high? Because they went without insulin. And then, of course, when we're feeling good, we're like, oh, it's not going to spike right off. But diabetes is like, but here, hang on a second. And if, but yeah, like this morning, my high was a result not because I ate too much, but because my tubing came out of my insulin pump.
This is what I don't like about pumps, but yeah. I mean, so as on MDI, when you texted me a couple days ago about time and range, I was like, I haven't looked at my time and range like all summer. And because I'm really good at being like, this is the best I can do right now. I'm not going to obsess over it. I know, and I just know that this is my best. I don't put a lot of pressure on myself at the moment. And so I opened up my time and range, and I was down in the 60s. It was a 67%, and it didn't matter if I did it was 1 day, 1 week, 2 weeks, 30 days, 90 days. It all said basically the high 60s.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know what? As I look back at these few months, I have been really distracted I've been going through some shit. And
You have.
Diabetes has not been my priority, and there's been lots of times where I'm like in the 200s and I've seen it in the middle of the night and being like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Come back to bed.
And it's okay to have days like those. Yeah. Like, I think we all do need breaks.
Days of those, but yeah.
And like you said, and when you talk about life events, and this is where we have to focus too on time and range, and you and I said we were going to talk about this stuff, so I think it's a good time to incorporate it. Diabetes doesn't care. Like we were talking about a situation about camp, and high blood sugars. Like we can literally do the same thing every day. And then in our numbers, the heat, it's too hot out. The insulin is fresh. We are going through emotional damage, whether we lost a loved one in one form or another, and we are going through, stress makes our blood sugars go up, and all these things. And when you say, you had other things on your mind, diabetes is just there waiting.
It's my dog.
I was like, I'm like.
All right, we're resuming here. We just realized that, one, there's a lot of dogs in my house, and two, that I've been not using my professional microphone for this whole recording.
You sound great. You sound great.
Well, but I don't think you would be able to tell until we publish it, but we'll hope for the best.
Right.
Yeah, life comes first when it comes to time and range.
Mm-hmm. And for me, as someone with lows, it's one of those things, I always tell myself, oh, it's going to pick itself up. I don't, I'm going to eat a little something and go out there, because I work in a sterile field at the hospital. I can't carry low snacks with me at work. Like I can't. You cannot eat in sterile processing because we are the most sterile
Even
place
if it was
besides
like,
an.
even if it was like a glucagon pack or something.
No, you cannot bring food or liquids. You can't even wear outside shoes in our department. You have to have surgical scrubs. You have to have surgical shoes. You cannot bring anything other than like your cell phone, which is in your pockets. But it's one of those things is like we want to do better in time and range, but diabetes, but you want to live a life at the same time. And like you said, you've been going through so much the past 90 days that you want to prioritize your actual life. But diabetes is just waiting, kind of like that little, devil on your shoulder or angel because you have your good days. And it doesn't care that you're going through a heartbreak or that your family member died or that you're getting ready for your wedding. Like diabetes isn't like, you know what, I'm going to take time out right now because this is a big day for you. It's like,
And
you know
it
what?
wasn't even like I was like, I'm not going to make it a priority. I just literally didn't have the mental, and still don't really have the mental bandwidth to be super into it. I'm going to do the best I can, which looks kind of like a C, grade average. And I'm going to be okay with that.
Yeah. And I think you should be okay with that. I think that we should, because the reality of it is that we have lives to live. And we have emotions to go through. So,
like right now, for example, speaking of emotions, like I took plenty of insulin for the peach. I roasted a zucchini in the air fryer.
oh, that sounds good.
And some peanut butter. I took plenty of insulin for this.
Yeah.
And I have been taking insulin all morning. And my blood sugar just keeps wanting to rise. And I know it's because I feel a level of emotional stress today that's not my norm. And I can feel it in my throat.
Yep.
I don't know about other people, but when I'm stressed out, I can feel. The hormones are not necessarily produced in your throat, but I feel them in my throat.
And as diabetics too, like I know my blood sugar is getting high because I can actually feel it in my chest and my shoulders. It's one of those weird things that like our body is giving us like these indicators.
Yeah, we feel more things than non-diabetics because we have more information and
And like we were talking too about with time and range and things like that. Like I volunteered at a summer camp and I remember talking to you about this. And it was one of those things, the weather was hot. I had fresh insulin in or I had to change my pump setting. But one thing I wasn't thinking about because I was so busy was I was PMSing. Like I was in charge of 30 teenagers at summer camp and those kids needed my attention. They were all type 1 diabetics. And it was one of those things like I didn't look at the calendar. I didn't pre-think about it. And I'm like, why can't I bring my sugar down? I changed my pump site. I've given myself fresh insulin. But the stress of working, and it was a happy stress. And I was like, why can't I bring my blood sugar down? This is not the time or the place. And I wasn't thinking of, and this was another week where I think my time in range was probably 70, which for me, but I wasn't thinking of hormones. I wasn't thinking of the fact it was a 100-degree day. I wasn't thinking of the fact of the stress with these hormones. I was sleeping in a new environment.
You couldn't have necessarily proactively increased your insulin for those things because then you could risk being low. PMS is also impossible to predict. Like we have a gist of when this might happen, but literally the start of the hormone change, you don't know what hour that's going to be.
Right.
So, anyway, and right now my ever since is being really finicky. Oh, now it's reading. Okay. Now
Well, it got insulted. It got personally insulted by your statement.
It's a little. It's not happy today. I have it in the wrong spot. I'll deal with that later. Okay, one other thing you said to me though when you were texting about time and range was MDI, multiple daily injections versus. I gotta adjust this ever since it's not in the spot. MDI versus AID. Which is funny. We have all these acronyms now, but automated insulin delivery, closed loop system, which you're on, versus MDI.
Yeah. And it was one of those things. So that when because you and I were best friends, we do all these things but we live very different diabetic lifestyles at the same time. Like I'm plant-based. I'm on what do you call it? ADI?
I've only eaten plants so far today. MDI, multiple daily injections.
Right. So you do the MDI, you're manual, I'm automatic. I live a plant-based lifestyle. You eat very healthy, but you also eat meat.
Every now and then.
And you eat cheese. And you probably drink Dab, do you drink dairy?
No.
No.
Last time I did, I got quite sick, so never again.
Yeah. And it's just when you made your post and I made my post, I was like, wow, you can really stay in range, manual injections, eating meat, eating cheese, and you can also stay in range with the help of insulin pumps, plant-based diet, that it's finding what works best for you as a diabetic.
Yeah, it's all about there's pros and cons of all these things. Like, I don't have to worry about tubing coming out and not having insulin in my system. That's my least favorite thing about insulin pumps.
Mine too.
Really sensitive skin, yeah.
Mine too.
I mean, that is to me, that's so precarious that, like, it can just pop out. Well, especially if you're in a situation like MMA, you're really sweaty. Let's say the infusion site, and it's 100 degrees in New England right now. Let's say the infusion site comes out and the insulin is dripping on your arm, but you're not going to feel that. You're soaked in sweat.
Yeah.
And your arm is soaked in insulin, but you wouldn't know the difference.
And it's also one of those situations, and like I said, I work well on an insulin pump, but that is my biggest complaint. Like what happened this morning, I actually gave myself a manual injection. And the one thing I love about manual injections, you're getting your medicine.
Yeah. Preaching to the choir. That's literally usually one of the sentences I say when someone asks me why I know that I have that long acting, and I cannot go into DKA all of a sudden.
No, and that's my biggest fear is going into those high blood sugars, and especially having it for as long as we've had, and I gave myself a manual injection this morning. And I was like, oh, I feel so good about this because I know it's going in my body.
1992,
Yeah, I did. No, and it's one of those things. I always have a vial of insulin and a syringe ready to go in my refrigerator. Or I bring my glucose meter, and I, just like the old 90s days, I carry a little vial and a syringe in my glucose meter. And but of course I was running late this morning, didn't think about it, didn't have backup of my tubing. And I was like, oh God, I just have to make it home. And by the time I went from 80 to 190 within about like a half hour drive.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So that is.
It really comes down to anybody can. I mean, on MDI, my A1C has basically been below 6 for 11 years since I started preparing for pregnancy, my first pregnancy.
Yeah.
But now, I'm probably getting my A1C done in September.
Me too. We'll compare. We'll talk about it.
Okay, great. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm over 6 for that based on how summer has gone. But between now and then, I've got about 2 months, and A1C is actually, it's not an even collection of the last 3 months. The 2 weeks before you get your A1C measured is 50% of your result. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again. So when you get your A1C, 50% of the result is the last 2 weeks.
Yes, because it's measuring how much glucose has it. I know I learned this because as a journalist, I get assignments, I get to go study stuff deeper.
You're like my favorite Lois Lane. You're like the Lois Lane of diabetes.
Wait, what's the one from Teenage Mutant?
Oh, April O'Neil. There we go. You actually look more like April O'Neil.
I relate more to April O'Neil than Lois Lane.
Can you be her for Halloween?
She's very like, sure. Although, no, I get cold on Halloween. I'm going to be Cookie Monster for the rest of my life because it's a really warm outfit.
Yeah. Anyways, to go back with that.
Slutty. Yeah.
So A1C.
Yeah.
I've never heard this.
So let's say you get your A1C tested August 30th.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 weeks of August weighs 50% on your A1C result. Then the month prior to that is 25%, and the month prior to that is 25%. And what it's measuring is the amount of sugar that has attached to your red blood cells. But red blood cells turn over. So red blood cells have a pretty short lifespan. So they're always turning over and regenerating, and they have like kind of a 90-day lifespan. So these, and when you're pregnant, your A1C changes more often because you turn over red blood cells more often. Anyway,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
A1C science schmiance that they don't really tell you. So if you do have a doctor's appointment coming up and you're like, man, I want to get my A1C better, focusing on those 2 weeks right beforehand can have a big impact.
You sound like an ADHD person who has like 5 minutes left to get their project done. You've literally just opened a portal, Ginger, on someone with ADHD like myself on ways to improve. So 2 weeks before my appointment, if I want to get my A1C in better control.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. It's just amazing how many scientific breakthroughs we've made.
I don't know if that's a breakthrough. It's just the science of how it's.
Oh, I didn't know. I've never known. Like, I never knew this, and it's one of those things.
They don't explain it to people like you and me. We're called patients, and they don't really tell us that stuff. They just give us.
Well, listeners, I hope you heard that, especially because I know that there's a lot of listeners that have ADHD like me. Here's a little cheat sheet, like we could crack down a lot.
Hack your A1C if you get, it's in 2 weeks. Buckle down for 2 weeks.
Yeah. That is
Your
wild.
at the same time.
That is wild to me. Man.
All right. Well, thank you for this in-depth discussion. Also, I just really needed your energy today. I was having a rough morning, and it's
Yes.
great to see you. And
So what did we learn from this episode, though? Because you didn't. Well, no, and it's one of those things, though. But because.
Watch the movie and then you have to talk about it.
Well, it's one of those things, though. Is like, what do you do though for your time and range? Because I know I have my ways that I stay. Like I fast in the morning. I do the plant-based diet. And
I think that's let's do a whole nother episode on tips to improve your time and range, strategies that we each use. And I mean, I did just publish a YouTube video all about this, but let's do our personal strategies.
Yeah, because my strategy, I know, and I took a lot from your book, actually, exercising, and I want our listeners.
I hope so.
Yeah, because you made me feel okay about the way I do things. Because your book goes over, You made me feel okay about fasting in the morning. You made me feel okay that I.
Type 1s now who fast.
Me too. I have a kid that got his first kickboxing for the organization I fought for. We have a T1D getting out there, and he's taken tips from me that I took from you throughout my fight camps, and that helped me with my things. But yeah, I just want to encourage people, get Ginger's books, guys. Get them. I've been an athlete for many years, and reading her books changed my approach on things. Get her books.
All right, CJ. It's good to see you. And
It's good to see you.
We'll make it happen. Tips on time and range.
Perfect. I can't wait.
All right. Love you.
All right. I love you too.